Hello and welcome to another episode of Skyrim, episode 3 to be exact. Last episode I made an awesome ghost friend named Fred. I took so long in the dungeon that I explore in this video that even PlayStation couldn't record the whole thing because it only records up to an hour after you hit share. So I'll give you a recap. I found a hole and I was like, oh, I should probably go explore that. And so when I get inside, I found a skeleton with a book on it that said I needed to find a sword and an axe. They were ceremonial and it would help me get into the main chamber of the dungeon. So I was like, I bet. Now mind you, I was a level 10 whenever I found this place. Severely underleveled, as I soon found out. So I had already gotten the sword and I was on my way to get the axe. You can see it on the back wall of this place, which is guarded by not even a mini-boss. One common factor of this dungeon was that, for some reason, Fred would just walk into a wall and stand there. I have no clue why. But anyways, as you can see, this isn't even a mini-boss, but I am doing hardly any damage to him. Look at this. It's barely noticeable. I definitely used Fred a lot during this dungeon, and I feel bad because I was underleveled and he was the only thing that really got me through it, to be completely fair. But even the man, the myth, the legend, Fred, the ethereal beast was hardly doing any damage to these guys. The only thing that even got me past this was the fact that he just ran away for some reason.
Stop right there, criminal scum!
And with him out the way, I just grabbed the ceremonial axe and without worrying about any dangers that lied ahead, I opened the door to the Elder's Chamber. Now don't let this low-level enemy trick you. This is still going to be a very, very, very hard fight, especially with Fred acting up.
I don't like it here. It's dark and scary. I don't want to be here.
I wasn't yet sure what this boss's power would be, so I backed away. It's frost damage, which slows you and hurts you.
Please help me.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage for one attack. I went in for a hit to gauge how much damage I could do. I couldn't even see how much damage I did, and apparently he can summon friends, so I summoned mine. But on top of doing little to no damage, apparently I also ran out of charge on my Dagger of Embers, which makes it pretty much useless. So we got to work on taking out his minions, and although that was simple, the hardest part was yet to come. Both me and Fred hardly did any damage, and then he was taken out.
All that for a drop of blood.
Now noticing just how out of my depth I was, I decided it was time to fall back. And he followed me back. I mean, just look at all that damage. So I spent like an hour running around, and after dying again and again, I discovered something amazing. Apparently I could just lose him. See that? The aggro music is gone. Now do you know what that means? That means I can loot without being disturbed. Besides his little summon buddy, there's nothing down here to take me out anymore. And they didn't last very long. Now the only thing in the chest I ended up actually using was the Iron Mace of Diminishing. And I only really used that because it did the most damage comparatively to everything else that I had, and also because it takes away some of his magicka, so he can't use his ice spell as much. I also learned a word of power down here, life or a whisper, which basically just shows where people are through walls. Now, after I left this main chamber, I couldn't find the dude anywhere. He wasn't where I left him and where I lost him, but then I went back to the entrance of the actual dungeon, and there he was. Scared me so hard I accidentally paused my game.
I surrender!
I died. No, that doesn't properly explain it. I died an embarrassing amount of times. With the knowledge that I couldn't possibly take him on in a head-on fight, I guided him to a different room. A room with a lot more space for me to run around, and I was going to try and use a trap to damage him more than I could. And even though the trap for some reason wasn't working, we just kept at it. I summoned Fred again and again, and eventually we got the job done. Yay, at long last we did it, and I got an ice sword for my troubles. Looks kinda cool and does a lot of damage, so I took it. And finally, after almost 2 hours, I finally made it out, and I celebrated with Fred, of course, for all the trouble we went through to get here. At this point, my cousin had come over, and he was going to help me get into the Dark Brotherhood, a group of assassins that gives you a bunch of missions so that you can get a lot of XP. Now to do that, all you have to do is go kill this evil old lady who runs an orphanage, and then go to this little kid who had asked for the Dark Brotherhood to do it.
You did? Really? I mean, I knew the Dark Brotherhood was good, just not that good. You killed the old hag before I even asked.
Then all you gotta do is just get a room, go to sleep, and you get kidnapped by this absolute baddie assassin who tells you took a job from the Dark Brotherhood. She tells you to do some stuff, yada yada, and then you're in the Dark Brotherhood, yay.
Grelod the Kind was by all rights a Dark Brotherhood contract. A kill that you stole.
After that whole fiasco, I ran into Secunda's Kiss. Despite its bizarre and kinda dumb name, it housed a few giants apparently. But unlike before, where I wasn't too keen to fight a giant, this time I was convinced that with proper execution I could probably get the job done. So using Fred to keep them in place and firing arrows that I had poisoned really helped take down some of their health. And I kept picking away at their health from a distance while I made my way to the tower where I was going to take them out. Judging by the damage that they did to Fred, I could pretty much determine that they would probably do quite a number on me, so I kept my distance still and guided them towards the tower, where they couldn't get through the door. And on top of that, there were some guards at the tower that could totally help me take down some of his health. As for that satisfying last blow, I went in with my sword to take him out. Look at all that loot. That's better than some bosses, so of course I had to go back for the other giant. Once again, I stuck to the strategy of poisoning my arrows and then shooting at them, as well as using the Stormcaller Word of Power to keep my distance. And of course, how could I forget Fred? Fred definitely helped quite a bit. I did actually really want to show this. Just take a look at how close he got to me here, because of how reckless I got. You know an enemy is probably too much for you when the ground is literally shaking beneath your feet. Also, I accidentally shot one of the Whiterun guards, so for the first time in my entire playthrough, I had to use my character class's special ability. Voice of the Emperor, which calms nearby people for 60 seconds. First of all, look at that health. They are almost the ones that ended me. Second of all, that was at 60% volume, not even 100. Imagine how actually freaking scared I was when I accidentally pressed that button for the first time. Also, because the guards were like physically unable to get aggroed, I'm pretty sure they were just basically meat shields for the rest of this fight, but anyways. This was kind of a momentous occasion for me almost, because something that I was so scared of fighting earlier on, I now found out that I could, with strategy, take out. Did feel a little bad for the guards though. As you can see, they got kind of demolished. The end of this fight may seem kind of slow, but just keep in mind that I didn't bring Fred in for any of it, and I ended up taking him out myself. A final blow with the sword, just the way I like it. And once again, just look at all that loot. Oh my gosh. And that's it. Had a little victory session, and I was on my way. I really had to add this, because I got jump scared by this enemy so hard that I literally went into third person. The aggro music made me look around, but I didn't even know they were there until they roared. Anyways, me and Fred took quick care of them and we were on our way again. And I was officially level 12, yay! Woo, yeah, baby! Woo. Found this Shriekwind Basin, which I thought would be some big bad dungeon, but nah, it was just basically a little pathway to a different side of the mountain. Bam! That right there, definitely going to be the most satisfying death of this video. And as quickly as I had arrived, I was out of there. See, I thought it would be some massive dungeon, but no, it was just a little pathway, I guess.
Did she now? Well, as it turns out, there are a few lingering contracts we haven't had the chance to complete just yet.
As you can see, I then met the Dark Brotherhood, who told me they do, in fact, have a few scrap contracts that I can go complete, which you will be seeing in the next video, not this one, because I don't feel like putting it in this one. Alright, I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like or a comment to let me know, and watch the next one too. Yeah. Also, tell me how my strategy is. Tell me if I'm doing good or bad. Because I don't know. I have no clue. Yeah.
The glimmer.
A new hand touches the beacon.